happening? For angels are all around me, so I will not fear. When I call you, when I call you, you'll answer in times of trouble. In time of trouble, when I call you, when I call you, you'll answer. You'll answer. You'll take me out of that place and a place of freedom.
Good morning, everybody. Angels, there's a passage of scripture that says, be careful entertaining strangers, for some have entertained or hosted or were hospitable to angels unconsciously or without unawares. Think of some of the strange encounters you've had just this week. And look back, think back, point back to see, was there any particular messages or just mess in those encounters? Be careful entertaining foreign things, foreign entities, foreign people, strangers, dreams, conversations, books, philosophies, ideologies, encounters. Be careful, which means be cautiously aware that strange things will occur in your life, and in all of those strange occurrences, there's the possibility, and usually the probability of a message. Angel means messenger or message. There's all kinds of messages out there. You don't just wait till Sunday morning to get a message. And some of you don't even get it on Sunday morning. But what's happening in your life that's a little bit disruptive, a little bit discombobulated or combobulating? What is occurring that makes you a little bit uncomfortable? We try to avoid those things or even ignore them, but they come repeatedly until we pay attention, because tension creates attention, leading to then intention. What's happening in your life, and how are you going to handle the tensions, the anxieties that are surrounded just being? Somebody asked me the other day, am I happy, when we were overseas? And I don't answer that question as quickly. I used to answer it based on Christian faith. Yes, I'm happy. I got Jesus. And when I said that, when I meant, yes, there's possibly happiness somewhere. I don't know where it is. I'm just doing me. But I thought that's a quick, curt answer, a religious answer, and I meant it. But here's what really I had to say this time. I said, well, I don't know If I'm happy, I just know that I'm happening. I'm occurring. I'm functioning. I'm being. I exist. I'm here. I'm making movement and momentum and experiencing moments, process and progress at the same time. I won't say that it's all happy, but it is happening. And when I get to the place where it's not happening, then I really ain't happy. What's happening to you? What's happening through you? What's happening as you? How are you functioning as you in the created world that you have imagined? I think that indirectly or directly, all of us create the worlds we live in. We all create our own realities, as Marlon was alluding to earlier. We view things not as they are, but as we are. I was always amazed that at the end of sermons, many people would come to me saying they got different things out of the message I preached. And I was most fascinated when they got something out of the message I didn't have in it. I don't know where they got some of that stuff, but it was fascinating to me, and I wished I had a thought of it and emphasized it more when I was preaching, so they think that the Lord gave it to me. But people do hear differently, and I learn more from questions than answers. In fact, I study a person's character more by their questions than their answers. I do like questions, I do like answers, and I ask questions, answer questions. Of course, you've heard me say many times, I question answers, especially mine. I question my answers more than anybody else because I only live where my answers are. Saving creation, our planetary charge or challenge is what the title of my message is today. And our theme for the month is saving creation. I'm actually more inclined to change the word saving creation to the word salving, or putting a salve, a healing ointment on creation, or salvaging it through careful attention and correction of things that need both created in us and creation itself. If we're living in a universe, and I believe that the universe is presently correcting itself, all the upheavals, whether that's a volcano or a tsunami or a war or a president that is worrisome, all of it is part of the universe correcting itself and purging out of itself. I did a 3-day detox when I was in Pattaya, Thailand the other day. And the lady said that people fly there and they stay in that lovely little place and they do 3 days of detoxing, and then they come back another week and do 3 more days, and they come back another week and get things out of them that have been in there. You might find a candy bar that was in there when you was 12. If I do say so myself. Read between the lines. You need a good cleaning. Many people at the beginning of the new year go through this detox, but there's physical, spiritual, and mental or psychological detoxing that's important. So saving creation, we need to put aside. God is a comedian, somebody said the other day, who plays to an audience that's too scared to laugh or doesn't understand or appreciate the joke. I no longer believe in a personal God. I believe in a principle that some people call divine. If there is a personal entity that has eyes that see and ears that hear, nose that smells and a mouth that speaks, and a brain that thinks, and a hind that sits, and a hand that commits. If God is physical or God is personal, then he or it's got some splaining to do. I think if I personalize God, I'm going to be angry, very disillusioned, disenchanted, disappointed. I believe in God. I'm an atheist who is a theist. I don't believe in the God of my fathers necessarily, or the God so much of the Bible who repented that he made me. That hurts my feelings. But I do reassess God. I don't know how not to believe in God. But the closest to God I think any of us will ever be is self-actualization. When you know who you are, how you are, and why you are, that may be as divine as you'll ever become or need to become in this particular dimension. In my Father's house, Jesus is quoted to say, there are many mansions. Really, the word, if you really stretch out in Greek, means dimensions or places and spaces and paces and phases and floors and spheres and apartments and compartments. And we're not just interdimensional or multidimensional. We are interdimensional. We all live from time to time on different floors in the same household. You could be having a conversation with somebody and go to another dimension and forget what you were talking about and come out with something totally different. And then you come back to them and say, what was I talking about? Or what were you talking about? Or were we talking? You ever been driving along in your car and just, you wake up about 3 blocks from where you were or 4 and you don't remember any intersections, no lights, no stopping, no yellow, green. You forgot where you were even going. That's not just a senior citizen moment because I've been experiencing that for 30 years. And I wonder what protected me or how I got here. I don't remember anything because my mind, I was on another floor completely. And men tend to think that women go to different floors more than we do. There's a corpus callosum that connects the left and right hemispheres of the brain. And when we're born, it's a bridge. Both of us have them. As the male ages, his closes. So we males are brain damaged from the start. And we pretty much stay on the left side. The female has the capacity to cross over. That's why she can say one thing tonight and something totally different tomorrow. It's because she crossed over the bridge and you on your side and can't do nothing but look. We're obviously too late to save some of the planet or its people. But we're never too late to begin to more aggressively correct what and how we have insulted and assaulted the planet and people's natural virtue or value or virtue. I've always been fascinated with curious about root meanings and root causes and root connections of things, words from words to events and reactions to them. Why do or should we be concerned about saving creation? Or of course, I see the answer to that, or its incumbency as saving or tending not only to creation, but more in practical way to what I have created. What have you created? I can't save all of creation, but I can address what I have created, what part I have in creating the world I live in, from my personal close environments to things that are extended beyond. What have you created? And later, what have we created? Because if you create a world, the next person creates a world, those worlds are going to collide or somehow conspire or align with each other. What's happening on the planet is something that we have in collective consciousness created. That's just my philosophy. But I believe that there's energy in thought, and thoughts become words, and words are things. And we are constantly, if we have any nature from a divine creator, then we are creative and we are creating all the time, in motion, in momentum, doing something. We do it biologically or physiologically, and we do it psychologically. We do it in prophetic ways. Some of you have plans written down. Many of you are living today, this very day, in something you planned a week ago, or just last night, or last week, or last month. How many of you can say, you don't need to answer, of course, but just think to yourself, how many of you can say you are living at a place you predicted or forecasted you would be living at? Is it the job you have, or the person you're with or not with, the neighborhood, the home? What's happening in your life that indicates you're on any part of a right path or a path that you imagined you'd be in? I am living a lot of the dream I had as a child. And I'm also at places and spaces I didn't expect to be at this age and stage of my life. Now, am I happy? I'm happening. I'm on it. I got this. I'm looking for illumination. I say 2020 vision in 2020. But 2020 vision may be very uncomfortable because you see things you haven't seen before and may not want to see.
That's right. Good.
When you have clear, precise 2020 vision with accuracy, you're going to notice some things that you're not interested in noticing, that you lived this life so far without ever knowing was there. And now all of a sudden you see that what you thought was there wasn't, and what you thought wasn't there was. Real truth comes out, and there is a truth that is factual that doesn't need faith to believe. Faith is for unbelievers or those who doubt. When you know something, you don't need faith to believe it. Cogitate on that a little bit. Like, what the hell did you just say? When you really know it, you don't need to be like the light. Somebody should close that curtain just a little bit. That for that dear sister, that light's so bright, it's obscuring her vision. But it's nothing wrong with the light. But sometimes light can be so bright you literally have to wear shades. What I mean by that is revelation. It can be so bright that you have to do this. It's not that she doesn't want all of a sudden for the clouds to come, because they're going to leave in a little bit. They don't want the sun to go away. Just get out of my face for a minute. You ever had a revelation? You saw 20 and you just want to say, just give me a break. I mean, it's too bright. I'm still sleeping. I'm still sleepy. The alarm has gone off. But I pushed the snooze button. There's alarms going off all over the world that tell us something's wrong. But so many people, including this administration, pushes the snooze button and says there's no such thing as a global warming. It's the most obvious. I mean, blind Bartimaeus and Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder can see that something's wrong. Ignorance doesn't mean to not know. It means to not notice or refuse to make note of. Saving creation is putting a salve on it, a healing ointment, by beginning to backtrack and correct some things, or when I say correct, it means make them erect or accurate, to make them more precise, what they should be. And it's an interesting journey, but it starts with your world. It starts with where you are. We've created both personally and collectively as an evolving and revolving and in some ways dissolving species. By dissolving, I mean to become or cause to become incorporated into a liquid. That's the scientific term, so as to form a solution. We have to liquefy some things, form a solution, and apply the solution for a conclusion for what we're trying to do. Trying to make this thing happen. That can happen in relationships. That can happen on the job. That can happen in your business. I've often said people won't do what you expect, but they will do what you inspect. If you're in business, you have to ask questions. You have to find. I'm not a detailed person. I've had the best detailed people around me. I've never considered myself a specialist. I was a general practitioner, but I hired specialists, and I listened to my specialists, and I know they know something that I don't know. And so I draw on them. But I do ask questions. And when I don't, something goes awry. When I don't inspect, not suspect, but inspect what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and what it results in, that can deteriorate in relationships, that can deteriorate in a business, a ministry, an organization, an operation. We must be a little bit more alert. And I intend to be far more alert in 2020 and enjoy some 2020 vision. And when you really have 2020 visions, there's some hallucinations in there. There's some apparitions in there. Your sixth sense, your third eye, your intuitive thing starts working, and you're so used to just the mundane. And then all of a sudden, you start seeing stuff. I chewed a gummy the other day. One of those gummies, they told me it helps with inflammation of the joints. Oh, no, don't play with me. I ain't like you.
Tell us about it.
It's okay. I'm gonna tell you my story. But they say just take a little quarter of it, which I just popped in the whole thing. And I saw some SHIFT. I saw some shift moving around and shifting that I didn't know. I mean, obscure stuff. crazy looking stuff moving and dancing, and I didn't enjoy it one bit. And I thought, where did that come from? I studied what I was seeing because it was at night. Everything was an apparition and an extreme exhaustion of something else, whether that was an elephant trunk or some wrinkles or something with a bunch of legs, or it looked like some members of my family and of my church combined with the zoo, which I had visited in Singapore the other day. I just saw all this stuff happening, and I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the obscurities. So I thought I'd deal with my inflamed joints differently, or I wouldn't be so exhaustive in how I'm treating it. Be careful how you treat what you think is your illness. You can be, I say, don't put a period where the universe has a comma, and be careful how you use exclamation points. Sometimes we make it too loud. You exclaim it, and you can just really handle it a lot differently. Turn to somebody and say, I'm going to handle things differently. I want to be a little more sober, but I also want to be less inhibited. I don't want to be so careful that I'm not dareful. I want to take some risks. I don't want to be reckless, but I want to take some risks that I haven't taken before. I'm enjoying a new liberation, a new freedom, a new fearless perception of myself and of things to come. I'm aware, I'm alert, but I'm really not alarmed. That's a choice. Talk to me, somebody. Some people are so depressing and so anxious and so negative till when they walk in a room, you feel like somebody got up and left. The whole energy changes when they come in there. What happens when you show up? How does the energy in the room shift? What happens when you arrive at the office? When you come home to the people you love? When you meet with the club or the group or the clan or the clique that you hang out with? What do you carry? What signal or significance or sign comes out from you? What is your signature? We ask that as a country. We ask that as a culture. I like to be around water. I'm Pisces of the zodiac sign. I like movement. I like the depth, the unfathomable depths of water. Problem with Pisces is there's two fish, usually with their tails connected, and they're pulling in opposite directions. There's always a fight going on. But I'm told that Pisces is the most discerning of the other 11 signs, and that in Pisces are some of all the signs, all the zodiac signs. I know many of you are not into astrology. Most of you are, and you don't tell nobody. So zodiac comes from the word zao or zoology. It's the Greek word for life or bios. Zao or Zoe. Zoe ministries, life ministries, Zooish ministries. People used to call Azusa, my staff, Azusa, A-Z-O-O. Because it was like a zoo. By the time those people get, especially among the ministers, clamoring for seats, and it could be, or some of them called it abuser. Because you get slapped around in religion a little bit, Earth is the third planet from the sun and the only astronomical object known to harbor life as we know it. According to radiometric dating and other sources of evidence, Earth formed over 4.5 billion years ago. That's a far cry from the 6,000-year-old earthly Earth that the Judeo-Christian Bible portrays and projects. Could we be that old? I don't know how they figure this stuff up. I don't even know what a radiometric means. I have a radio, but I don't know the metric system. If indeed the Earth has existed and or lasted this long, it's hard to believe that we humans can or need to save it. But we do need to recognize what we have done to impede or impound it. As I said earlier, the universe is correcting itself. It takes care of itself. It's lasted 4.5 billion years. Creation can be described as anything invented or concocted or even imagined. How do we save what we have concocted? How do we save what we have invented? How do we save what we have imagined? It is the action or process of bringing something into existence. What have you brought into to existence? Starts with you in your body, the way you experience yourself physically, the way you experience yourself psychologically or mentally, and the way you experience yourself spiritually, and then how you express yourself in those same ways, physically, mentally, and spiritually. You are very creative, and you don't have to give yourself permission to be that. You do sometimes give your permission to do that, but you are created, creative, and creating right now. You are so powerful. It's almost frightening. You are enabled by some other strength that you absorb, and usually we just observe it, but you're absorbing it from the time you leave your mother's womb, where you've floated in urine for 9 months, mostly your urine, water. It's called amniotic fluids. And when you come out, you're 80% moisture, water. Your brain stays that way. Your lungs are that way. You get older, you get around 50 to 60% water. We're all water. We came from water. 90% of our the DNA that's out into the stars in the center of our galaxy is what we're made of. So we're stardust too. We come from the stars as well as our primate relatives, ancestries. We're all moving somewhere. We're going through a process and progress that's pretty powerful. Faith is ethereal. It's an ethereal aspect of life, but fact is more presenting and more pressing. Faith is, I just believe, but fact is right in your face. We're coming into a scientific age. Remember, science means knowledge. Knowledge tells us that we have messed up a lot of the universe based on how we've used carbon, how we use technology, how we use industry, how we survive as a human being, as a human race or a species that's expanding. We don't stop a lot of things. We have to amend the way we think, the way we operate. We have to take the power away from greedy people who don't care about anybody but themselves, and will make any decision or choice and does not take into consideration the casualties or the pain imposed on other people. We've got to get a hold of the way we allow certain leaders, politically or spiritually or culturally, to influence us. Because if you're not aware of the times and the seasons and the changes, you're going to be making choices and decisions that are irrelevant. I'm doing away with things that don't serve me anymore. And I'm holding on to those things, most of which are transcendent, that are powerful in my life, that I consider spiritual. And I'm relying more on my natural, innate, intuitive nature. I believe in the sixth sense. Everybody has one. We don't always use it. The sixth sense doesn't ask for proof. Sometimes it doesn't even provide proof. It just is there. And we all sense it, but we have trained ourselves to ignore it because we want some other proof. And I understand that. But as this age of enlightenment evolves, people are going to start living and operating more by what they know and less by what they believe. Because you know you're all right, but you don't believe it. You know you're incredibly amazing, fantastic, but you don't believe it. You know you're safe, but you don't believe it. I spent my life trying to save souls. Now we're talking about saving a whole planet. How do you evangelize a tree, a weed, a baboon, a caterpillar? How do we preserve and add soothing salve to a garden or a lawn or a mountain or a stream or even a scream? Where did the scream come from? Why is it here? What are we doing? What are we creating? How are we making it happen? Again, Hebrew scriptures say that Adam and Eve were instructed to subdue the earth. About 2 billion people believe that literally, that the first man was Adam and the first woman was Eve. And they were created by God and they were put in a garden or a guarded place. They were told to till or take care of the garden. But as far as the earth, they said, subdue the earth. Take care of the guarded place, and subdue, which means dominate or take dominion or subjugate. Subliminally and subconsciously, we think we are supposed to control the planet, subdue the planet, Make it work for us at any cost. Use it. Dig in it, chop it, cut it. We've dug holes and chopped branches and burnt wood. We've polluted the planet. We've urinated and defecated and regurgitated on it. It's hard for us to believe the trash is under the sea, because when you're in that vast ocean, and I remember the first 3 cruises I was on, I've been on several, I noticed that out in the ocean, they would unleash the sewage. You just happen to be there. They usually do it at night, but I caught it a couple of times, and all that stuff goes into the ocean. That's mild compared to tennis shoes and cars and rulers and beer cans and plastic that's in the bottom of the sea. What we've released into the ocean, and how trashy. Where we were in Singapore and in Thailand, those are the cleanest, kindest, most courteous people I've ever encountered. The restrooms were clean. They don't even have paper towels in there, because what is it, 4? I have the statistic down here, so I'll read it in a minute when I get to it, because I just have 30 more minutes and I'm done. You say, yeah, you done, but I will be done way ahead of that. Well, verse 28 says, God blessed them, Adam and Eve, and said, be fruitful, that means be sexually active, and increase, procreative, in number. Fill up the earth with your kind, or your kin. The earth, fill up the earth, and then subdue it. Does that mean subjugate it? Does that mean subvert it? Subdue, that's the word in many translations, including the King James. Our English word subdue means to overcome, quieten, bring under control. It comes from the Latin subducere, which literally means to draw from below or pull it up from where it is, to raise the standard or quality of existence on the planet. Most of us are trying to make life better, because initially life seems bitter. And so we're always trying to improve on it, enlarge on it, make the experience of living better. And we do whatever we think is necessary to make it better. Why is the bitterness and the betterness fighting all the time? If I ask you to give me a list of the bitter things in your life and the better or best things, which would be the longest? Or would they be close? Or is it just a few little bitter things, but life is pretty much better? People ask you all the time, when you say, how you doing? They say, oh, I'm doing pretty good. They don't always mean they're pretty or good. It's just a natural response. I'm okay. And if you give them a few seconds, I go, I just have bills to pay. I just seem like I got some kind of hurting over here I went to the doctor. I got to see, I can't. Then they'll give you a whole list that proves exactly what they just said is not true. I'm doing pretty good. You want to hear the rest of it? Well, that's a hope. I want to. When we take into consideration, and this is where I'm going to close, and I want you to start anew today. Look at what you have created in your life. As I've asked you many times, what's working for you? And what's not working for you? And if you made a list, which would be the longest of both? What's working as you? How do you show up? What's working on you? What keeps you awake at night? And what do you perceive as working against you? Start with you, and then through the process of elimination, you come up with some other things. Let's don't try so much to save the creation. Let's try to make creation safe. The first 50 years of my close to 67 years, I spent trying to get people saved. And I myself never felt safe, even from the God that I was using Jesus to protect the people from. Do this again with yourself, wrap yourself. I believe in safety. The only thing about salvation is that I believe it is a salve to put ointment on your pain, on the soreness, on the inflammation that the gummies make you seem monstrous. I had terrible I have an ulcer that I had 4 gastric ulcers, and one because of some surgery I had on my foot, and they gave me some ibuprofen that tore up my stomach. And they said before I took it, if I had ever had ulcers, which I did in college, they may reoccur, and they did. Twice. I bled so bad I ended up in ICU. But I didn't know I was bleeding. I haven't had these ulcers in so many years. And there's one that didn't want to go away. And so the whole vacation, which was a lot of islands and water and nature and wind and beauty, and I was thinking about creation while I was there. I was also thinking what created this horrible pain in my stomach, that I was popping antacids just every 2-3 minutes. Had to keep certain food to eat up the acids. The acids were going nuts. It really took a lot away from the trip. As soon as I landed in America, I might have also had an intestinal parasite of some type. But by the time I got back, because several people on the tour got sick, what did I do to create this pain? Or what can I do to abdicate it, to get it out of me? First, you ask, what part did you play in it? And fix that. And then find other ways, and they'll show up, of how to further correct and make accurate how you exist on the planet. You can be accurate if you care to be. I didn't say perfect, because I don't believe in that. I believe in accuracy, and I believe in maturity. In fact, when you see the word perfect in the scriptures, it's always a reference to maximizing your potential, your best self. Doesn't mean flawless, it means mature. So let's grow up together. Let's go out together. We can do this together. I believe our best is yet to come and is present. Be safe, beloved ones. I love you and believe in you with all my heart. God bless you and be you.
Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from grief to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Hey, we're so happy you're visiting with us online today. We love connecting with people all across the country and around the world, sharing our powerful message of love beyond belief.
There's something new happening here. You can now join All Souls as a virtual member. Our virtual membership is designed for friends who live outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and who want to engage with All Souls in a meaningful way.
You can be part of an expanding family, a global family really, wherever you are. If you live in Oklahoma,
Ohio,
or Orange County, California,
Canada,
or Cameroon. By becoming a virtual member, you'll be able to deepen your connections with members and friends here in Tulsa and with members wherever you are.
Each week, you'll receive special All Souls content tailored for you, our virtual members. Virtual members have access to pastoral care, to personal prayers, and also receive invitations to exclusive web events.
You can learn more, and if you're ready, you can become a virtual member today by visiting allsoulschurch.org/virtual membership.
We're grateful our ministries are having a positive impact on your life, and we want to share the good news of love beyond belief with more and more people. So no matter what, we need your support to keep this ministry growing and thriving, so please consider making a gift today. You can do so by texting
Love BB for Love Beyond Belief to 73256, or simply visit our website. You are a blessing in our lives. May you be blessed
and be a blessing.